Up for Discussion Live. Hosted by Jeff Sylvia and Shannon Sylvia. Bringing you the hottest topics, the coolest guests, and a live chat, so you can be part of it all. Up for Discussion Live starts now.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the weekly talk show where everything is up for discussion. Here live with me, Jeff, and is alongside always, now back from the almost dead, the lovely Shannon. Hello, Shannon.
Nice.
How you doing, kiddo?
Throw me under the bus. Much better.
I guess so. Recovering from near death last week, which is why we had a week off. So we're.
It's always something.
Yeah, you pulled through, which is good. We had a lot of folks worried about you.
Nothing some antibiotics and prednisone couldn't fix, guys. We're good. I'm always here. I always bounce back.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. But boy, we've got a crazy week here in front of us and a great show here in front of you. We're glad that you're joining us, and we want to say hello to our friends and crew over there at LATV. Thank you so much for helping us and all that you guys do. And, of course, everyone, hello watching on the mothership here at upfordiscussionlive.com on your handheld mobile devices, your tablets, your iPhones, and all that happy malarkey. And if you need the address, Shannon, we got this really cool thing now. We're kind of getting into this new mode where we're going everything with the smartphone. You can just click on that little QR code down there, and it'll bring you right to the show. Isn't that awesome?
So cool.
We're trying to get into all of the latest and greatest technology so you guys can stay in touch with us. And if you missed the show live, you can always catch us 24/7 on our YouTube channel, which is PTV Webcast Network. You can catch not only Up for Discussion here, but all of the great shows on the network. And of course, stay in touch with us on Facebook, facebook.com/UFD Rocks. And that's where you'll find some contests. You'll find what's going on during the week, what we have going on for the show, and anything else that we want to talk about. Now, we do have a call-in number that we encourage everybody to stay in touch with us during the show. It's 323-902-6661, and you'll see us posting that up here throughout the broadcast. And this is kind of a little bit different format because this is interactive. You guys are a huge part of what we do. You come on in the chat room, you tell us about what you're thinking, and talk to our guests, and that's kind of what separates us from the rest, Shannon.
I like that.
I do too. Kind of keeps it a lot of fun. Keeps us on our toes too.
Sure.
Now, we have a lot going on in the news today, and we have a lot going on in the show. Later on in the show, we're going to be welcoming a very special musical guest. Maganahan's Revival is going to be joining us, Shannon, and they're fresh off of their gig. They just opened up for probably a little before your time, but I certainly remember Steely Dan. Great band.
I've heard of them.
Great band. They're probably
what does
doing
he sing?
Reeling in the Years. You know that song?
Nope.
Reeling in the Years.
JT's probably singing it right now.
Yeah, he sure is.
Reeling in the Years.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as you did that, I do know what that is.
Don't away the time.
Okay, I do know who they
that
are.
Song, right?
I feel educated all of a
All
sudden.
right, well, that's cool. We definitely want to make sure that we say hello to everybody over there at Lemonster Storage Solutions. We want to thank them for supporting us here at the show. If you want to find out more about them, you can call them at 978-466-8887, or you can visit them online at lemonstersstoragesolutions.com.
Hey.
Now, I guess we're going to get right into it, Shan. We got a musical guest hanging on the line with us.
Awesome.
A little bit later in the show, we are going to be talking about a contest, but I'm not going to talk about it now.
Love giving stuff away. And I have something to add to that contest.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
We got some stuff in the mail.
Okay. All right. Well, if you guys like food and you like to pick where you go, you may want to stick around later in the show and also this week because we got something that may be of interest to you.
Okay.
But joining us right now on the phone is musician Justin Pilot from the band Maganahan's Revival. Justin, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Very cool. Now, you just came off of a gig. You opened up for Steely Dan, and this was something that I guess was in the works for a while. Now, we have a friend it's part of the show, part of a friend that calls in a lot here. His name is Mike Carr, and he's done a lot of openings for some cool bands, Kiss, Def Leppard, I guess the list goes on. Cool. There's been tons of them up there in Cincinnati that he's done. Sometimes he gets to meet the band, sometimes he doesn't. Now,
most of the time he can't.
What was the experience like for you? Did you get to hang out with the band at all? Did you get to interact with Steely Dan, or what was it like for you as a musician?
No, I mean, so I'll answer the question, which is no, we did not get to meet the band. However, I will say that for me as a musician, and really I'll speak for the rest of the band, it was really an honor. Everybody in our group is pretty big fans of Steely Dan. Grew up with them, mostly. We're all guys in kind of our late 20s, early 30s, so we grew up with listening to them, through our parents or whatnot. And we got to listen to them sound check, which was cool, and got to watch them for free. So they always put on a good show, and in fact, I probably would have been going to the show to watch them, even if I hadn't been playing with them. So it was definitely a cool experience. Would have been great to have met them, but they're older guys now. They got their tour bus. They probably don't hang out very long when the show is over. So I don't hold it against them. That's for sure.
It's funny you mentioned that, because we had actually got a chance to hang out and interview Scott Rockenfield from the band Queensryche, and he was quick on and off the tour bus, Shannon. There wasn't much party left in him as far as anything after hours. That's for sure.
Yeah, but that was the night, Jeff, that it was actually canceled.
Yeah, there was a huge snowstorm.
So he came out in the parking lot and hung out with us.
Yeah, which was pretty cool. But now, when you how big a crowd was this? Where did you guys perform at?
This is at a venue in Guilford, New Hampshire called Meadowbrook.
Okay.
And it's basically an outdoor pavilion-style venue that probably holds, I guess, about 10,000 people.
Wow, very cool.
And so we were on they have a second stage, so I believe it's a Magic Hat second stage over there, and that's where we were at. So we had, a pretty consistent crowd there. It was good. We actually played before Steely Dan went on, and then we did a short acoustic set after Steely Dan played. So they played until about 10:30 at night, and then we played until from 10:30 until around 11 or a little after that, and we had a nice crowd at that point too, of people just not quite ready to call it a night and interested in hearing some mellow music at that point. So it was nice.
Nice.
If you're just joining us on the show tonight, joining us is musician Justin Pilot from the band Maganahan's Revival, and the photo you're seeing there is from the venue in New Hampshire that they just played for about 10,000 people. And was that called a different name before, or has it always been called what you just said there?
Well, nowadays with sponsorships buying out, and then obviously, throwing their label in front of it, it's probably been many things, but I think it's definitely sponsored by someone, and I can't remember who, but I believe it's always had the Meadowbrook tag to it, as far as I know.
All right, now the name Maganahan's. You don't sound like you have too much of an Irish accent going on there, my friend. Where did the name come from?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. So it's the name, and the band actually existed before I joined. I actually it was their original lead guitar player ended up moving to Colorado some years back, and so I auditioned for that slot and got the gig. So the name predates me, but it actually is a Grateful Dead reference. So a couple of the guys in the band are pretty big Grateful Dead fans. I'm a big fan myself, but certainly this reference is rather obscure, one that I wasn't familiar with until I joined the band. But essentially the Grateful Dead early on in their career had a a pen name that they would sometimes write songs under, and it was I believe it was Maganahan's Gajellafetti or something ridiculous like that. So that's where the name comes from. It's rather nonsensical.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm 48 years old, been a Dead fan, went around, high school like everybody else and watched them tour up and down the East Coast and never knew that. So I guess I learned something tonight, Shannon.
This is so beyond my generation. I can't even contribute to this conversation.
If we had your brother on here, your brother's
my
a
brother
huge
would
Fish
be
fan,
enthralled.
Oh yeah, he's still.
I'm doing my best. I am. I am not the same age as Jeff. I apologize, but I'm listening.
Yeah. Now your brother
Shannon,
is.
How old are you, Shannon?
I know I can't just come out and say that, but let's just say I'm in my 30s.
Well, you don't have to be of any age to like the Grateful Dead.
No, I
true.
just never got into it. It's too peaceful for me. I'm a Marilyn Manson fan. No, I'm kidding. I do like Marilyn Manson quite a bit, but I like the Moody Blues. I never got into Grateful Dead. I left that for my brother. I don't like to smoke pot, and it just kind of comes. It's my thing. I'm sorry. So, but I think it's great music. Totally relaxing and fun.
It is.
I'm not knocking it. It's just not something that I would put on my iPod.
All right. Well, speaking of on your iPod, let's play a little bit of the cut called "Lie to Me" from Maganahan's Revival. Let's hear it right here.
I might be making a mess. Come on, I need to know. Come on, lie to me.
I like that.
Lie to me. I've got no feeling. Think I'm gonna stand on my head. Well, I think I'm gonna stand on my head. Every single word that I said. Well, a pencil pumped my brain full of lead. Come on, I need to know. Come on, lie to me. Come on, I need to know. Come on, lie to me.
Very cool, and I can definitely see a little bit of Grateful Dead influence there, especially
I
now.
like it.
I gotta ask, are you guys doing 4-part harmony? Are all 4 of you guys singing there?
Actually, I think that's just me and our keyboard player Max Chase. singing on that, in that studio version. Yeah.
You guys can sing.
Yep.
Very talented. Now, you guys I know you have a YouTube channel. You got some stuff that's up there. No real videos yet that you want to put out, but is it something you're working on? And I guess my question to follow is, how are you finding getting your music out there now with, let's call it modern social media, YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, and how are you integrating with all that?
Yeah, good question. So the first part is no. I would say yes. We are working on a video, but no, we don't have one that that is of the quality that nowadays. Quite frankly, one of the nice things is it's much more accessible for bands, unsigned bands, doing it themselves, funding things themselves to get professional video done, whether it's live footage or footage that's shot for video format. So yes, working towards that. No, don't have it yet. In terms of modern channels and outlets for pushing music, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, there's much more opportunity now for really anyone, whether you're in a band or you're one person that writes songs in your basement, to get your stuff out to the world. And in many ways, I think that's a great thing. But at the same time, it's a flooded market, and I think music has always sort of been like that. There's always, ever since the Beatles played 50 years ago on the Ed Sullivan Show, there's been bands on every street corner in the garage banging away. But now you can really get your stuff out there. So the challenge is, how do you differentiate from everything else that's out there, and it's a challenge. You know, you gotta have a good live show. You gotta give people a reason to care about going to see the band. You know, you have to constantly be sort of updating the media that you do have out on, you know, on the web. So whether it's videos or music or clips or photos, you have to sort of constantly be doing that. And it can be a full-time job, but the good news is more and more bands are, you know, sort of doing it on their own, the whole soup to nuts, running it as a business, and can be pretty successful that way. So.
Boy, you got that right, especially, you know, when you say it can be a full-time job. You have to also know how to speak the language. It brings back a conversation I had with John Corabi, who used to be the lead singer of Motley Crue, and I asked him a similar question, and he told me, he said, Mike, I have a song that's out. I just, you know, I've made 8 gold records, and I put a song out, and it gets, you know, maybe 20 or 30,000 hits. And my son, who's in a garage band, who's nobody ever heard of before, he puts a song out on YouTube, knows how to speak the language, and he's got 140,000 hits in 2 days. So it's such a different game out there, and there's a lot of great talent, I think, that's just stifled because of that. And I think also with YouTube, you know, back in the day, if you put on a demo for somebody, you had maybe about 5 or 10 seconds to make an impression. Now with YouTube, Shannon, I'm sure you can agree, people are just like, yep, click, boom, like it, don't, next. It's just
you've got seconds to make an impression. That's with anything.
Such a fast-forward society, as I like to call it, and I see that most of your material, if not all of it, consists of originals. Is that the direction that you guys have always been since you've been in the band, is original music?
Yeah, I mean, at our live shows, we tend to do a mix of originals, and, you know, we mix some cover songs in that people will know, and kind of try and integrate those into our sets. But yeah, by and large, you know, it's about writing original music and, you know, trying to put a unique spin on it while sort of maintaining true to kind of the classic rock roots that, you know, that a lot of us grew up on.
Sure. Now, you'd mentioned the Grateful Dead. How about some other influences growing up, not only for yourself, but the other guys in the band?
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly wide-ranging, actually, and an interesting part of the band is that myself and the drummer, Jay Taylor, and the bass player, Keith Valcourt, who's actually recently joined the band, the three of us have actually been playing music together since we were in high school, which goes back some time now, and so, you know, we kind of come from a certain place musically, and then, you know, you combine that with Tim Souza, who really founded Maganahan's Revival, writes a lot of the material, sings a lot of the songs. You know, he really comes from that classic rock, you know, big into the Grateful Dead, big into the Allman Brothers. So he kind of brings that to the table. Myself, quite honestly, kind of started out in more like the punk rock scene early on, learned how to play guitar in that world, but again, you know, sort of the classics were always there, Led Zeppelin, The Who, again, Steely Dan, who we've talked about, you know, the Allman Brothers, Queen, so bands like that. But then as you get older, you know, you start listening to the more, you know, current music of the time, so obviously being myself, you know, in my early 30s, I went through the grunge phase pretty hard, so, you know, bands like Nirvana and, excuse me, Soundgarden, bands like that, where, you know, all of those end up going into kind of the big stew, if you will, that makes what a songwriter ends up being.
Sure. Now, new bands that maybe people are just starting to hear now. Who do you like coming out now?
Geez, that's a good question. Who do I like coming out now? I don't know if there's anybody that's necessarily coming out right now that I'm so cutting edge on, but I've lately, for more modern music, I listen to, you know, bands like Portugal the Man, for instance. I actually just saw them. They played in Boston a couple weekends ago. It was a really good show. Actually, the band that played with them is a band called Group Love. They're actually out of L.A., I think. And they were really awesome, too. These are high energy, the songs are extremely danceable. And I think there's a certain direction that's kind of happening certainly in the pop rock scene that's really leaning towards kind of a lot of electronic beats and things like that. And quite frankly, some of it I kind of like.
Some of it I like, some of it I think is overproduced, but I think all in all, there's a few that stick out. Shannon, who's the one that I like there? The one that sings that, I can't even think of the name.
Give me a hint. I'll try my best.
Going back to you.
Oh, Volbeat?
No, I can't stand
No,
Volbeat.
that's the Arctic Monkeys.
Thank you, the Arctic Monkeys.
Wow,
That's
that
what
was
I like.
really good.
Yeah,
You
see?
just nailed it.
See, I think we should have like
I
a
do
damn
like
show
that,
going
yeah.
on. You can name that song.
I knew it was a
in 2
newer
notes.
song, and yeah.
I'm not a Volbeat fan. At first, I thought they sounded a little bit like Godsmack, but he's way too whiny for me. I can't listen to that voice for more than like 3 or 4 seconds. But anywho, that's just my taste anyway. But man, I'll tell you, anybody that's doing their own thing with their own music needs to be commended. And this is the format and the platform that we like to give to local and regional and upcoming musicians so that folks can hear your music and get it out there, because there's a lot of talent out there, and it doesn't have to be mainstream. It doesn't have to be a record label. It can come right from our backyard, and you guys are living proof of that, doing your own thing. Now, tell the folks how they can get a hold of you, a Facebook page or a website that they might be able to get a hold of if they want to hear your music.
Yeah, I'd say at this point probably the best option would be either via Facebook, via Twitter. We're actually working on a website that we should have relatively soon. But yeah, for now, again, it's probably the easiest thing. We've got some music up there. As you mentioned, or I think you mentioned, we actually just released a studio EP. It's got 5 songs on it, and you can download it on iTunes or CD Baby, or come to one of our shows. So yeah, that's probably the best thing to do.
Awesome. Now, you guys are a New England-based band. You have any gigs coming up here in the area that you can talk about?
Yeah, we do. We are playing at a festival in New York, more upstate New York, called the Harvest Festival. And we're also playing another festival the following weekend called the Groove Link Festival.
Very cool. Now, look for the male version of this that you see on camera right here. His name will be Aaron Sontag. And I'm sure he'll be at all of these festivals, because that's exactly Shannon's brother kind of
he
looks
goes,
a little
he'll
like her,
see you
so.
there. You know what? If indeed my brother's going to be there at the Harvest Festival, I will have him find you and introduce himself.
Definitely.
Absolutely, please do. I'll be there hanging out.
How cool.
Now, make sure we all get hooked up on Facebook. I know through Gail Scott Key we can do that, and we'd love to have you post your stuff on our wall, on the Up for Discussion wall as well, the fan page. We'd love to expose everybody to your music. Justin Pilot has been our guest tonight from the band Maganahan's Revival out of the New England area. Thank you so much for joining us, and hope you can come on back with us again. We'd love to hear how you progress and what's new and exciting with you.
I would love to. I really appreciate the time tonight, guys. Have a good rest of your show.
Thanks for
a lot.
calling.
No, you bet. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
All right, guys, stick around. We have a lot more going on in the show tonight, and we do want to talk about a little bit of a contest. I'm going to throw it out there now, and we have the Name the Show contest, Shannon. We have a new show that I'm going to be in development with.
I've heard.
It's kind of a double secret type thing. A couple of clues there and silhouettes as to what it might be about. If you've been on my wall lately or been on the Para Rock TV wall lately, you might have a couple of clues going on there, but there's a new production in the works, and we want you to help us name it. It's about music, it's about fun, and it's about kind of what we do here, producing and promoting the regional and local talents of the world, to give them a place and a format to showcase their talents. This is going to be more of, let's call it swing and jazz and that kind of thing, big band type stuff. So the winner, Shannon, is going to get a $50 gift card to the restaurant of their choice.
Seriously?
So, exactly. So what that means is it's not just here for people in LA, in the Leominster area as we call it. It's for people that are listening to us anywhere that we can send a gift card to. So if you're across the country
of
somewhere,
McDonald's guys.
that's right. There's lots of great restaurants, and if they have gift cards, you win. We have you pick the restaurant, and next thing you know, that gift card's showing up in the mail to you. So
Cool.
That contest is going on right now on our Facebook page, not only our personal page, but on the Up for Discussion and Para Rock TV page, which you can find right there using the special QR code. And best of luck, guys. We'd love to hear from you. The contest goes until October 1st, so you still have a few days still, almost a week and a few days to get your stuff in. And win big, Shannon. Win big.
Hey, you get nothing to lose. Just try. Just put something out there, guys. Just anything.
That's right.
You might win.
That's right. All right, we're going to step out. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break. And we're going to have Shannon tell us about the bizarre but true, as only she can, with the Who Does That. Stick around. You're watching Up for Discussion live here on ParaRockTV.com and on LATV. We'll be right back after this.
Up for Discussion with Jeff and Shannon Sylvia. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Up for Discussion Live with Jeff and Shannon is brought to you in part by Bailey's Bar and Grill, Sasquatch Coffee, and Village Pizza.
And now back to Up for Discussion right here on Para Rock TV.
Hear that music, it can only mean one thing. It's that segment of the program when Shannon Sylvia asks, who does that? And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Shannon Sylvia. You know, Shannon, I got to agree with Rick in the chat room. You do look very nice tonight.
I do.
I like the haircut. I think the hair looks awesome. That's a very nice style for you.
It's straight.
Nice color.
Thank you.
You're looking lovely.
I just dyed it again.
Yeah.
It's red. Thank you, Rick.
I do.
I didn't
like
see
the
that.
color.
I would have thanked you for
Rick,
the
I
compliment.
concur. And she keeps the show going. She makes everybody look good on this show.
No, just worked all day and thrown a t-shirt, really. Didn't try.
All right. What the hell's going on in the world today?
I'm actually suffering from wearing my Crest white strips too long today, so my teeth are in excruciating pain right now every time I inhale.
Oh, yeah. You get the sensitivity thing going on.
I'm supposed to wear them for an hour. I took them out after 45 minutes because I knew this was going to happen. It's just hitting me now, so thought I'd share.
Who does that?
No kidding. Oh, damn. So, anywho, we have stories for you tonight. 3 of them, as a matter of fact, all true, 100% true, and verifiable because it's on the internet. Jeff, in the past, we have always talked about loony bins calling in 911 repeatedly or calling in for the wrong reasons, such as
like this
someone
one?
stole your drugs.
You're calling 911 because you don't like the way that they're making your sandwich?
Exactly.
Yeah, we get that one.
Yep. Or you call 911 because you didn't like the way someone made your sandwich.
Yeah.
Or you called 911 100,000 times, or you called 911 because you were bored or someone stole your drugs. The list goes on. So we have another one of those coming from Harrison City, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Where people tend to be a little bit more bored and lonely.
You mean more boring than Leominster? Even though we were voted the most boring place in the entire planet?
Who's calling?
I don't know. We got a caller during Who Does That? Hello, you're on with Jeff and Shannon.
Interrupted my Who Does.
What do you got?
Hey, Jeff, it's Chuck. How you doing?
Hey, Chuck. Stick around, buddy. We're going to get to you right after the Who Does That.
All right, absolutely.
All right, stick around. Go ahead, Shen.
All right.
Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right.
Harrison City, Pennsylvania. A Pennsylvania man has been charged with making 3 911 calls to report bogus emergencies simply because he was lonely and wanted paramedics to show up.
Really?
Ouch. That's what Facebook's for. You know, at least create an alias and look interesting. The Pittsburgh Tribune Review reports that the guy who is 52 years old, his name is Gregory Schaefer, he was jailed after this arraignment just Wednesday
on charges of
making false reports to authorities. Is it worth it, dude? Now you got plenty of friends back there. Watch out with the soap. Penn Township police say that Schaefer called Westmoreland County's 911 center 3 times over about 4 hours on July 30th with various false complaints.
Wow.
The first time Schaefer claimed he had fallen down some stairs and injured his head and neck. Paramedics said they found him intoxicated but otherwise well and calmly waited outside his home. Online court records don't list an attorney for the guy. Probably...
Can't get any friends. You think you can get an attorney?
He's still in jail, waiting for another hearing on Tuesday. It's sad.
Who does that?
But, dude, don't do that. That's against
Poor
the law.
guy.
That's a felony.
There's so many other ways to get
I know,
company, isn't
right?
there?
Go to Walmart, just shop a little, just even if it's a dollar store if you're on a budget.
Go volunteer at the senior center.
Social media,
Go
yeah.
help out the animal shelters
Play with
or
the puppies.
something, you know?
Adopt a cat.
Seriously,
Don't
adopt
eat
a
it.
puppy. There's they say there is a dog for every human being. I mean, this guy definitely falls into that category. There's a puppy for you, buddy. You don't have to keep dialing 911. There's a puppy out there for you.
Yeah, but do you
somewhere.
want a guy that's mentally ill to take care of a puppy, though? Really?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess.
You can take care of a cat. They don't take care of a dog.
Cats just take care of themselves and tell you to go.
That's bad. I'm not a cat person, clearly. The second story, you guys might have seen this on the news. Mr. Sylvia. Now,
speaking of dogs,
how many socks do you think that you could consume?
Consume? I don't think I could consume one.
They just performed a surgery on a Great Dane that consumed 43 and a half socks.
Yeah.
No idea where the half sock came from, because I don't usually just lay those laying around. But this hails from Portland, Oregon. The 3-year-old Great Dane was miserable, retching when its owners rushed him to a Northwest Portland emergency room for an animal hospital. It was something he ate. X-rays showed a stomach full of large quantity of foreign material. Nearly 2 hours of surgery later, Dr. Ashley McGee had the answer. The dog had consumed 43 and a half socks.
Good Lord.
That's where the socks go. People, it is not the dryer, it's not limbo.
I think
it's a Great Dane that's in your house that comes by and eats your socks. That's where they go. The Great Dane. Dove Lewis Emergency Animal Hospital spokesperson Shauna Hart said it's perhaps the strangest case in the history of the hospital. So strange that the hospital entered last February's tale, complete with X-ray, in an annual contest sponsored by the Vet magazine, Veterinary Practice News. They actually won a prize. Fittingly enough, the contest is called They Ate What?
They ate what?
Even stranger, the 1,500 first place winner was Plano, Texas Animal Hospital that treated an exotic frog that ate more than 30 small ornamental rocks from its cage.
Ouch.
So they had to extract the rocks from the frog's belly.
The rocks and socks.
The entry summary says the Great Dane was discharged home a day after surgery. The owners aren't available for comment, but she confirms the dog is alive and well. No word on what he's been eating lately.
I do not like green eggs and ham.
Socks.
I prefer
That's so gross. I
rocks
can't even.
And socks.
I can't even. First of all, it's a texture thing with me. Second of all, the smell of used socks. Having to put that in your mouth and actually swallow it would just completely gross. I can't.
Well, Rusty from San Diego in our chat room, I think, says it best. Who in the world even owns 48 pairs of socks?
The poor people must have just had to keep on buying socks.
And they're probably getting in arguments about them. It's like, I know I put those in the washing machine. Can't you even do my laundry right, honey, without screwing it all up?
That poor
What the hell's wrong with you?
How did they not know the dog was eating the socks? Did they seriously just think the dryer ate the socks?
I think somebody owes somebody an apology
That's
after
crazy.
all that. That's what I think.
I don't know, but the poor thing. Third story, of course. Biggest news in the world. I mean,
Speaking of
it's even
poor
bigger
things.
today since I wrote the story.
Of course it is.
Jasmine Tridevil, if that's even her name, Tridevil, please, was turned down by more than 50 doctors before she found one willing doctor to implant a third boob into the center of her chest.
Do not
Guys,
correct your television, folks. You are seeing that correctly.
and why did she do this? Because she wanted to look more unattractive to men.
Because her name wasn't Bi Devil. It was Tri Devil. What's wrong with you?
Jeff, yesterday when we were talking about the story, I said, what makes a woman unattractive? We actually came up with a pretty good list of things, including mom jeans.
Yeah.
Jeff, you said...
Well,
what,
if you're single in a bar, a wedding ring kind of turn off there.
that was that would have been the...
no, mom jeans is one thing, I think.
Stirrup pants.
Stirrup pants, yep. Flannel shirts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Unless you're going camping. You don't want to be sporting a flannel shirt out.
Yeah, but they're kind of cute. I mean, if they're tight enough, not big and Rosie O'Donnell-ish.
Of course. Not when you're doing a short haircut and mom jeans and boots.
And
have a little
what else?
style.
We had to come up with a list. Oh, lots of hairspray and
tons
way
of
too much
hairspray
makeup.
Over the top of the war paint.
There's a lot
Can't
of
be
things
doing
that women can do to look unattractive.
This is just weird.
This is out of Tampa, Florida, guys. True story. This this whack job is all over the internet trying to get her own television show. She spent $20,000 to have a third breast implanted in the middle of her chest between the other breasts because she wanted to be unattractive to men and land her own TV show. So instead of not wearing makeup or cutting all your hair off till bald, she just decided that a third breast was going to do it. She's 21 years old, so there goes the rest of her life. More than 50 doctors turned her down before she was able to find a surgeon willing to implant the boob into the center of her chest, a style reminiscent of 1990s movie, if you remember, called Total Recall. There was a scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
I remember that, like the lady with the thousands of arms. And
Yeah.
she told her local radio station in Orlando, because this is obviously a publicity stunt, she had the breast implanted to make her more unattractive because she was tired of the attention from men. Because that's not going to bring her any attention, and neither is a TV show. Because I don't want to date anymore, she said. She is 21 years old, by the way. I think this girl needs help, and shame on the doctor who did that, because anytime a person enters surgery or anesthesia, they are at risk of dying. And we just saw that happen with poor Joan Rivers. Why would a doctor purposely put himself in that position for $20,000 for one boob? Isn't that weird? Because people pay less for two.
Who does that?
But it just doesn't make any sense. So, and we all know with gravity that it's just not going to align well with the other two.
You make a good point. I mean, she may be a whack job. She may be nuts. But I'll tell you who's more nuts is the doctor that actually decided this was a good idea.
It's just so ridiculous.
That is stupid.
And she says she doesn't want attention. Yeah, that reeks of a woman that doesn't want attention.
She sounds
right
like
there.
everybody in the paranormal field. I'm sorry. You know what? I think she's got a tryout for 18 kids and counting. I think she's going to be the breastfeeding.
Well,
lady.
if she had triplets, this
she can take
would
3
be an
on
advantage.
at once. You know what I mean?
This would be an advantage.
She's going to work them overtime.
You've got a litter going on.
There
You
you
can
go.
suckle very easily. But this is just this is not to make. This is way ass backwards. This is
not an April Fool's joke, Rusty.
No, it's not.
It's not. This is
It's
actually
not,
true.
and it's the fact is that's not what she was intending to make herself more unattractive. She just wanted attention, and she wanted to do it in a way that nobody else had done before, and she is getting the attention. But after all this newness wears off, she is a nobody, flash in the pan, stuck with 3 boobs.
Yeah.
Wow, just
And-
weird. I mean, how do you even wear a bra?
I was going to say you need an entirely new wardrobe.
I mean, the sports bra wouldn't even work. You get like a complete uni boob going on. I
Yeah.
can't even. That is going to be so difficult for the rest of her life. She wasn't thinking.
Not attractive.
It's not attractive.
Except maybe if you're drinking a lot and you see 6
Who
boobs.
is going to date her?
If somebody's into boobs and they're really drunk and they're seeing double and they got 6 boobs coming at them.
Who's going to date her now? She said she doesn't want to date anymore at 21 years old. She's not going to get a date. Some guy's going to be like, what? And of course, there's going to be the stupid men there that look like they're on Jersey Shore. They're going to date her just for the attention.
Oh,
but-
sure.
Oh,
Want to
this
be
is
on a
just
TV
such a
show.
publicity stunt.
Sure.
How can you have that? First of all, how do you have $20,000 extra money at 21 years old
Yeah.
to spare on a third boob? I mean,
Most 21-year-olds that have that kind of money probably would opt to do something more productive with it, perhaps for their life ahead of them? No? I don't know.
I don't know, but Rusty's saying he knows a lot of guys that would be bragging that they're dating her. To be honest, he's true.
Wow, it's true.
And she's
I'm dating a freak show.
A front runner for the trifecta at the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. Wow.
So strange, just so strange. This no normal 21-year-old in her right mind would do this. She's got some issues. It's just sad.
Everybody is talking about it though, so mission accomplished, Shannon. That she got what she wanted.
So stupid. We need to interview her and find out what the hell she's really thinking. But really, she doesn't want to be attractive anymore to men, but she puts on all the glam makeup and the cute bikini and shut up.
Wow.
Bite me. So stupid.
All right, guys, we got to switch gears here because we have about 20 minutes left in the show. If you want to be part of the show tonight and you want to be on with us, you can call us now at 323-902-6661. And Shannon, I don't know about you, but I happen to be a little bit alarmed at the news this week. There is some crazy stuff going on, and it starts right here in Massachusetts. It seems now that we being the American government, are training Afghan soldiers with American weapons on American soil. And guess what happens when we put our trust in this country and we decide to help their military become bigger and stronger and care for themselves? Guess what they do with that trust, Shannon?
We're going to get screwed.
They disappear. That's what they do. 3 soldiers that were in Cape Cod at a training facility wound up disappearing for a few days and ended up being found and captured at the Canadian border, of all places. And this is not the first time this has happened. Just a few months ago, Shannon, there was an incident with folks, I believe, from Virginia. A couple or a few individuals from Virginia, Afghanistan soldiers that also ended up on the Canadian border in Buffalo. So I don't find this a coincidence, and I don't think our caller on the line finds this a coincidence either. Chuck, you still with us?
Oh, absolutely, Jeff. I'm still here.
Thanks so much for calling in. Now, Chuck has served a couple of terms overseas for us, and we want to thank you very much for your service to us. And I'm using just a generic name to preserve your peacefulness and your privacy at this point. But an unsung hero for our country has done a few tours overseas for us and has actually been a previous guest on this show. So we want to welcome him back. And I want to put the question to you straight out. Do you find this coincidental? And if not, what do you think about the latest developments of the disappearance with these Afghan soldiers?
I find it more than coincidental. It's more, to me, odd, maybe. A little odd. But what I find more, not really appalling, is that, if you look at the picture in a whole, Afghanistan as a nation is not even a UN-sanctioned nation. So why are their soldiers even coming over here to train? I understand we trained them while we were over there. No big deal trying to help them with their country. That's understandable. But now we're bringing them over here to train for real-world scenarios. Part of that exercise that was going down there on Joint Base Cape Cod was, like a natural disaster exercise to help them better their country in dealing with certain situations, natural disasters, floods, or whatever they have. And like you said, they took advantage of being over here, and then they fled. They tried to defect, and to me, it's totally. It blows my mind that something like this will happen. And not only that, is they bring them back down to there, and they don't put them right back on a plane to send them back over to Afghanistan, which I find odd also.
There's a lot of odd situations when in terms of this, and a couple of them strike me that you already mentioned. First of all, we're now training them on our soil, which strikes me as very odd. We're basically, for years we've been in this war, and please correct me when I'm wrong, because you have firsthand experience where us sitting here at home are more reliant on the news and the information that we get. But we're over there fighting a war of intelligence where we're trying to figure out who the enemy is, and we're trying to decipher who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. They all look quite a bit the same, but trying to decipher who's who. I mean, when you walk through a town, Shannon, it's tough to tell who the enemy is. And
I mean, look at the marathon bombers. Nobody had any idea. They looked like two college students.
So my point is, how do you decide, he's good to come over here on American soil and train with American weapons in an American facility, Giles?
When a lot of people use that scenario, like I like to use that scenario too, you don't know who is who. It would be like if they were to come over here and attack us, we would say, hey, you can trust us, Roman Catholics, but you can't trust the Protestants or the Lutherans. You know what I mean? I kind of use that, in a sense, too. Out there, and it's hard because you don't know who is who over there. When I was over there, we had a lot of blue on green incidents where we were training their forces. Their forces turned their weapons on American soldiers and or civilians, and they just had one recently where a brigadier general was killed, and it happens. It happens, and we don't do anything about it. We just keep on training them. Had individual who was very close to me who was, when I was over there, Special Forces, training them how to pick up cell signals by using the triangulation method. So basically, he's showing them how to triangulate a cell phone signal and find out where that person is. So we're showing them our technology and more advanced technology. So you don't think they're going to turn around and use that? Of course they're going to use it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to come over here and get trained by some of the, the best soldiers and military in the world and use it against us?
Sure.
It only makes sense to me.
Now, here's what's come out in just the last couple of weeks alone. Of course, you have the incident where you have these 3 Afghan soldiers that went missing from the Cape Cod facility and ended up on the Canadian border. You have a breach of White House security where a passing pedestrian, if you will, was able to jump the fence, run the White House lawn, and walk into the front and unlocked door of the White House.
Because it was that easy.
There you go. And now, of course, you have, everything going on with the president saying, we're going to get ISIS and we're trying to form this coalition. Boy, there's just too much coincidence. I need to ask you, and not to put the fear of God into the American people, but do you think there's something going on that we're missing that they're not telling us? I mean, is there something imminent in the near future that we should be concerned with? Because now the enemy's here. The enemy is now here on our soil. And the other story that I wanted to throw in is they've now determining that Boston is one of the hotbeds for recruiting terrorists.
What's going on with that, Chuck?
And we're talking about, recruiting terrorists on Facebook.
You got to look at all the big cities, though. You know what I mean? All big cities have large international airports mostly, so that's where they're coming in. Boston,
but they are coming in. They're coming in now into our country.
Atlanta. They're coming in through, Texas. You'd be surprised with it. They're all over the place. Not to scare anybody out there, but they've always been here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've always been here among us. A lot of things, like there's a great book out there that I've read while I was in Afghanistan. It's called Blindsided, the Radical Islamic Takeover, and it was actually written by a former Muslim who turned Christian. He's from Egypt. Can't think of his name. His mind slips me. But it talks about what that's called. It's called the Islamic foothold. And when he talks about that, it's scary because all these Middle Eastern countries, Islamics are coming over here, buying up these large corporations, right? Billions and billions of dollars of their money coming in here, and they're getting they're getting a foothold on corporate America, but they're also gaining access to, anything and everything that we have, all that technology. Media, look at Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera's over here now. So what is really scary to me is people are just turning a blind eye to it. They're not, they're very, very complacent to what's going on.
Isn't that the truth? And
right, and the people are just worried about themselves, which you should be worried about yourself, but outside their little security bubble, they could care less what's happening. You see it every day. They, they don't know what's going on, and that's what I say. They, when you come home from being deployed, and you're hyper vigilant. You know what I mean? You're always looking around, always looking over your shoulder. Not that
Sure.
it happened to me when I was in Iraq. When I came home from Iraq, it was like that. But now, after Afghanistan was a little more lax for me, it wasn't as bad. But you still see the people when they come home, like they just, you look at them and it's like they just don't know. They don't even know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, it's almost
crazy.
like we become desensitized to everything over time, and unfortunately we lose focus and we leave ourselves exposed to something terrible happening if that's the case.
It is. It's crazy, people are bashing, Barack Obama for it, which is fine, the president,
Oh, yeah.
because I think he's the center of it. And if you look at it, when he talk about Muslims and terrorists, he will never call a Muslim a terrorist. Just like ISIS, he doesn't even call it ISIS; he calls it ISIL.
Yeah.
Which is a whole another acronym, taking the Muslims out of it, out of that faction. So now. And I've been noticing that a lot of my liberal friends are starting to call it ISIL now because that's what the president's calling it. But no, it's ISIS. That's the name. That's they even call themselves ISIS. They're not calling themselves ISIL. They call themselves ISIS. So.
Well, to me, they're terrorist thugs, and they should be referred to as nothing other than. And the thing that really, really, really bothers me is Shannon. Do you have a question on the name of a book?
Yeah, someone in the chat's asking what the name of the book is. I'm trying to figure this out.
The name of the book that I mentioned?
Yeah.
It was called it's called Blindsided.
Blindsided. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, Blindsided, and then it's called The Radical Islamic Takeover, and it's by Dr. Michael Youssef, maybe.
Okay.
And it's a short book. It's only like 175 pages, and it will open your eyes. Trust me, it will open your eyes. And it's probably one of the best reads I had while I was over there. It was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Well, I think we need to open our eyes not only to that situation, but a lot of situations going on in our country here. They said long ago, the terrorists said long ago, that they were going to come in and they were going to take us over from the inside out. And they really are, in my eyes, transparently doing that right now. You see them becoming citizens and then turning on us. And the money is a whole other discussion. I mean, the money rules everything, and they got tons of it. So it makes it a whole new dimension of fighting a war and
Correct.
fighting an enemy when they're that well funded and that well exposed. And now, as you said, on American soil. Now, to switch gears a little bit and becoming aware of things and keeping yourself aware of things and not being desensitized, if you will. Are you a football fan at all?
Me, yes.
All right, then we're going to have you join us for our last topic here, which Shannon, of course,
Okay.
is the NFL and Roger Goodell and everything going on here this week. We've got just a few more minutes left in the show, and this is another subject that I think that the United States should not be desensitized on. And wake the hell up, folks, and realize that the NFL is turning into a group of thugs and criminals that are grossly overpaid, treated like kings and queens, and unfortunately, there's a very small percentage of them, Shannon, that actually are let's call them lawful abiding citizens, for lack of a better term. You, of course, have most recently the Ray Rice situation.
Yep.
You have the Adrian Peterson situation from the Vikings, and just recently, I believe, a situation with a guy from the Kansas City Chiefs. Same thing. So you have domestic violence, you have child abuse, of course. The topper of all, of course, is Aaron Hernandez, and these are all active players at the time in the league. These aren't players that retired and hit dire straits and lost all their money and had a hard time and resorted to gambling and drugs and getting into trouble. These are current players making gazillions of dollars and not being accountable or feeling like they're accountable like the rest of us for basic laws and general morals. And when you talk about the kicker of it all, of course, beside Aaron Hernandez, this thing with Ray Rice, Shannon, has opened up an entire door of scrutiny and scandal in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. What else have they covered up? Come on.
Because they knew about it, and there's no doubt that they knew about it.
Yep.
These are the highest paid athletes in the entire planet. Their legal teams, if you will, are always present nowadays for anything. And God forbid, this NFL logo that I have right up here on the screen behind me, I guarantee you when this thing hits YouTube tomorrow, they're going to pull my ass out. They're not going to allow me to do this because they're going to be all over it.
Yep.
And here's your proof. They're going to know that, but they didn't know about that video in the elevator. Chuck, are you buying it? I mean, do you really think that the NFL has a leg to stand on right now? And should Roger Goodell go? Should he go?
You know what? You're almost like an accomplice if you know about this. Okay, that's the way I feel about it. All right.
Absolutely.
He knew about it. Definitely knew about it. Why wouldn't he know about it? Just like everything that has been going on, Aaron Hernandez, he was a punk from day one. They knew about it. They still drafted him up through the ranks, until he got the NFL and did his true colors show. Ray Rice, Peterson beating his kid. It's absolutely, like they said, they've been covering up stuff for years, and they know about it because of the millions and millions of dollars that the NFL produces, that they gain from all these players. It's crazy. Why wouldn't they cover it up? The thing that really, really upsets me the most is that kids look up to these guys. You know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
It's horrible. And they say, "Oh, he's my hero." No, he's not a hero. Definitely not a hero.
Yeah.
I mean, we can even go back, with Michael Vick. You know what I mean?
Yep.
With the start of that nonsense.
Yeah, you sure can.
Yeah. You know what I mean? He knew what was going on. To me, he's an accomplice.
Well, it's the thing, Chuck, where if he did know, it's horrible. If he didn't know, it's horrible because he either knows and he's a scumbag for not turning over the information and making the right moves, or he doesn't know how to do his job. And in either case, the guy should go. I mean, there's no reason
you shouldn't be
to keep
turning a
him
blind eye on it. You can't turn a blind eye on it.
Right. I think the NFL now, there's nothing that he can say, he being Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner, there's nothing that he can say to right the ship. If the NFL wants to get rid of this bad image and this black eye, I think they need to start over. I think they need new leadership, and I think they need to bring somebody to the table that's going to make some extreme changes with very little and to no tolerance for any of this stuff. And Chuck, you hit it on the head. These kids idolize these athletes, and they look up to them as heroes. And I've always said, I've said it on this program many, many times, I believe that these people, these athletes making these millions of dollars, are obligated to provide an example to their communities, to the children that watch them, to the younger folks that idolize them or growing up playing high school sports and collegiate sports, to set the best example possible, not only on the field, but in your community. And last week we were talking to somebody who brought up a really good point. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Leominster High School coach Dave Palazzi, and he mentioned a very good point. He says, Ray Rice, let's take that example for a second. Playoff game. It's 3rd and 8, and an opposing player comes up and punches Ray Rice in the head and pushes him and spits in his face. What's Ray Rice supposed to do? Ray Rice is supposed to put his hands by his side, turn the other cheek, and walk away. He's supposed to show discipline for the good of his team, and also because he's a professional. Why is that
absolutely?
any different?
I was just about to touch on that word. He's a professional. He's a pro football player, professional, and that's what you do.
And that's no different than the way you should behave in everyday life. And you can make the arguments back and forth that these guys are treated like kings and queens. They have cars that are brought to them and meals that are brought to them and drivers that drive them around and people that help them get dressed and buy their products for them. And then when they get home, Shannon, maybe mom's a little pissed off because they left their underwear on the couch or something, and she gives it to him, and maybe he's knocked down a couple notches. So, everybody's a human being.
The chat's all fired up because they're all saying, shame on the women that are staying with these men. But I have a feeling these women aren't really complaining about the money that these men are bringing in, because women will put up with quite a bit.
Boy, that's the other part of it, is because
that's another thing.
You look at Ray Rice's wife, and she's standing by him right now because she's saying, hey, if he loses his job,
that's even jump back like 25 years.
Where's the child support going to come from?
Fryer.
Did you see the look on her face?
Irving Fryer when he's beating his wife.
That's right. Irving Fryer, member of the Patriots, also same situation, had a situation where he beat his wife. And again, the women, unfortunately, are so attached to the money. They're so attached to the lifestyle and so dependent on that they look at that as a sacrifice. to give up their own morals and values for the sake of the big money that comes in through these scumbag athletes that are beating the snot out of them. Doesn't make any sense to me, folks, and we're going to have to wrap it up right here for another week, and we want to thank all of you guys for joining us across the world on your handheld mobile devices. And, of course, again, we want to thank our friends and the crew over there at LATV for having us on their network and showing us in LA Leominster area, Shannon. Of course.
Yeah, where was JT tonight?
Well, we'll talk about that. He's going to call in next week. He's a little under the weather this week, but we'll get him on here next week with us. On behalf of my co-host Shannon and all of us here at the network, we want to thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you next week right here on Up for Discussion Live, right here on Pararock TV and on LATV.
Night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Brother whiskey and sister nicotine. I must admit you got your claws